This is part 2 of the teaching by Daniel, so enjoy. Bye.
Hang on. What's an evil eye? What's a good eye? What does this mean? The principle at work here is what I call the Macaroni principle. You know what I'm talking about. This passage is Macaroni. We have an ancient piece of literature or a document or an ancient idiom or expression or tradition that we know nothing about, so we start making stuff up. It was my wife who originally discovered the Macaroni principle. One day she was sitting at the table, paging through the dictionary for the sheer pleasure of it, as many homeschool moms are wont to do, I'm sure. And she's just paging through the dictionary and she came upon the word macaroni. And she read the definition and nay, lo and behold, it doesn't mean pasta noodles. Well, at least the older definition of macaroni had nothing to do with pasta noodles. Rather, its Old English definition was a certain fancy style of gentleman attire, a dandyish style of dress and clothing. Aha! Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his hat, and called it a fancy, dandyish style of dress. Suddenly the little song makes sense. And that is exactly what it means. I told this to the Sunday class, and after class, one of my students, originally from Connecticut, gave me the rest of the details. The story behind the song is that when the Yanks were en route to meet the British regulars in battle, they stopped at a Connecticut farmstead on the way, and they looked so pathetic in their farmer clothes, and they were going up against these fancy British troops in their dandy macaroni uniforms. So the farmer's daughter plucked a chicken and stuck chicken feathers in the Yanks' hats to dress them up a little bit before the battle. And that's the legend, that's the tradition behind the song. And it makes perfect sense. So here's the problem. Here's where this becomes a critical issue. We make macaroni out of the words of the Master and the words of the Scriptures all the time. There is an original meaning. There does exist an original context. We don't always know it. But when we do not, we should resist the temptation to just make stuff up. There is an original meaning to the evil eye and the good eye and the whole eye. In rabbinic literature, there's numerous references to the evil eye. Having a bad eye, an evil eye. And there's also references to having a good eye. It turns out an evil eye is an early Jewish idiom for stinginess. A greedy person, a stingy person is described as having an evil eye. Someone who does not give to the needs of others, or someone who gives less than he should to the needy and to the work of God, is described as a person with an evil eye. On the other hand, someone who gives generously, someone who bestows charity on those in need and supports the work of the kingdom, is described as having a good eye. All right? So let's look at the passage again, but let's look at it in a little broader context. Start in verse 19 this time. It says, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven where moth and rust do not destroy and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are good, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness?" The Master says, the eye is the lamp of the body. So if you're a generous person, your whole body will be filled with light. But if you're a greedy person, a bad eye, a lamp that produces darkness instead of light, then your whole body will be filled with darkness. He says, if then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? Suddenly it makes perfect sense. And that's what it's supposed to be like reading the Bible. It is supposed to make sense. So what's the solution? How can we get past all this macaroni? You have to learn the culture, the history, the geography, and the people of Israel. You have to learn to read the Bible from a Jewish perspective, from a Torah perspective.